I'm Yinka, and this is The Hurt Locker, a podcast where we open a door into men's mental health. Come and go.
And I think the way for me to feel comfortable was to make them laugh.
We do struggle.
And I sort of have a panic attack on an almost daily basis.
We struggle with how we feel.
That's life, yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't have to be a struggle. You're listening to The Hurt Locker, a podcast that opens the door on men's mental health. Tonight's guest, we have playwright, actor, comedian, Trevor Lock. Trevor, welcome.
Thank you, Yinka.
How are you?
I've been better, I'll be honest.
Go on, tell me what's going on.
I just got a load of aches and pains and probably having a nervous breakdown at the same time. So, a bit of the flu, bit of a stomach problem, kind of got something wrong with my left ear. And but apart from that, everything's good.
Okay. Thank you for joining us on the Hurt Locker.
It's I was excited when you invited me, and then just life got in the way, and I forgot all about it until today.
Don't worry, we won't take it personally. Well, I certainly won't anyway.
I listened to your one with Rich Wilson. That's why I agreed to do it. I listened to the one with Rich Wilson, which I thought it was really good.
Okay, what made you think it was really good?
Well, I love Rich, and I think you've got a nice sort of way with you, and so you had a nice sort of, there's a nice chemistry between you, and
Thank you.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember how long it was, but let's say it was an hour. It was an hour well spent.
Okay, that's nice. Received with gratitude. So, I don't do any research on this, but I'll be honest, I sneaked a little bit of a preview about yourself, just to know what I was contending with today. And I'm not going to reveal.
How did you do it?
How did I do it?
Yeah, how did you do a preview on someone?
Well, a sneak preview. Oh, I just Google, as Google's one of my places to go to, same as most people. But then, Tim's really good at research as well, so he was able to get me some little facts and that. Nothing too revealing, nothing that's going to expose you in any way, shape, or form. Unless there's anything you want to talk about tonight.
No, nothing. I've got nothing special to talk about, really. Tim said, "Do you have any passions?" I don't think I do anymore. I think that's the thing that's happened to me recently. I've sort of, I don't have any passions anymore.
What was your passions, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I used to be very interested in philosophy. I used to be a comedian. I used to be interested in writing things. I used to write a lot. I used to read a lot. I was a sort of spiritual seeker, and I guess I still am in a way. And I used to be very active, very busy, and now I'm trying to avoid being active and busy as much as possible.
What's changed for you? Why?
Well, lots of things. I mean, most recently, my health. I'm riddled with anxiety, and I sort of have a panic attack on an almost daily basis. So that has affected, a lot of my choices and what I can do. So I guess that's the main one. But you never know really why things are the way they are, and things change.
You know what, Trevor? And the truth be known, that's why we ask people like yourself to come on the Hurt Locker podcast, because we just want everyday people with the everyday lived experiences of how they live life.
Yeah.
And for you to talk about panic attacks and that.
Yeah.
If you don't mind talking about it. I can have that as an intro, little segue into. Tell me a little bit more about that, because you've been on stage with the likes of Stuart Lee. You've toured with Stuart Lee, Russell Brand, etc. And were you experiencing panic attacks then?
No, it's much more. I mean, I was thinking about this today actually, and it's the frequency and the effect it has on my life now is brand new. But actually, every now and again, I mean, but actually, before I was a comedian, really, I had them, and I don't really remember them affecting me. I never used to have stage fright. I went for a period actually where I thought I was immune to nerves. I didn't have any nerves on stage, but they came back. But yeah, I think there was a long period of my life where I didn't have panic attacks. Yeah. Or the anxiety, or I mean, I feel like I'm nuts at the minute. But so yeah, when I was working with Russell and with Stuart, I was probably mad in other ways, but I wasn't having panic attacks then. No. The weird thing about being on stage is I've become more and more comfortable with it, and I can still get a little bit of nerves before sometimes, but yeah, I don't know. I wonder if that's part of the problem, really. Being on stage is supposed to be uh, a stressful experience, and I don't know. Maybe I'm sort of I don't know, experiencing the stress and anxiety that I don't experience on stage. I'm just experiencing it at the wrong time, in a different place, in a different time. I don't know.
Okay, if it's okay with you, we'll come back to that. Tell me about you. Tell me about Trevor, the young boy growing up. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a couple of little villages in Northamptonshire, a village called Flor, um, just off sort of on the A45. So Flor is a tiny village, and it's about 8 miles from Northampton, and then Bugbrook is a slightly larger village, um, and that's, I don't know, maybe a little bit closer to Northampton than Flor was. But both of those villages sent their kids to the same comprehensive school, which was in Bugbrook. So yeah, we all went. All the people I grew up with all went to the same secondary school.
Tell me about family life growing up. What was that made up of?
Well, I had a mum and a dad and a sister. My mother was chronically ill all her life, actually, and all my life. So that was the sort of the big I don't know, theme or vibe of family life, was my mother's sort of chronic and sometimes acute health issues. She had a weak heart, and eventually, when I was 13, she had to have a heart transplant. Um, and so that was the sort of vibe of my childhood, if you like. When I was, I never got, my parents didn't take me to school or pick me up from school when I was a little boy. So I don't know. I think it made me a weird one, if you know what I mean. It doesn't surprise me that I apparently have an unusual life, because I had an unusual childhood. I mean, not massively unusual, but you know what I mean. Unusual enough.
It feels, just reading between the lines there, it feels that you were kind of self-sufficient in terms of taking yourself to school, etc.
Well, I didn't take myself to school. No, I mean, I was, when I went to school, so we lived a long way away from school. So it was far too far, and such a long, the A45, busy, dangerous road, lots of lorries back then. Flor has a bypass now, it didn't back then. So I was taken to school. Either my father dropped me in extremely early, um, but that didn't work out. And then I don't know why. I think because the school perhaps wasn't open. But normally it was other people, health, what are they called, health workers, and then later other kids' mums would take me. So I wasn't that self-sufficient. I was a kid, so I had to rely on grown-ups to drive. It was a drive away. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, okay. Um, I'm just thinking about my own childhood and school, and it was very much one of, yeah, myself, my siblings, we would take ourselves to school. But as you say, you're living what? South Midlands, as it were, kind of area.
Yeah,
And
it's sort of in the
just,
middle of the countryside, but with a big road slap bang in the middle of it. And my parents decided to live about a mile and a half away from the school, so it would have been a long walk. And I did do it. I did do the walk, but with other people's mums and dads. Dads didn't pick kids up then.
okay, okay. I'm smiling. I'm just at that fact. Dads didn't do that type of thing back then.
Well, it
You know,
was really weird for my dad to take me to school sometimes. Sometimes he had to. And I could feel, oh, this is weird, because because I'm there a little bit earlier, and then I see everybody arrive, and everybody arrives with a mum. So I knew it was a weird thing. But now I
no,
take my niece to school, and I see, yeah, all kinds of people delivering children to school.
and your sibling, your sister, she younger or older?
She's a little bit younger than me. She's 4 years younger than me. Yeah.
Okay. And so your mum's has chronic health conditions and that,
Well, she's passed now, but yeah, she did that
at the time,
when we were little. Yeah.
and that was something that did that stand out for you from a very early age?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Yeah, 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 yeah. Those are my earliest memories of yeah. She was often in hospital, often in bed, and so I knew that my mother couldn't do what everybody else's mum could do. So yeah, that was. And it was kind of in some ways it was kind of a relief because I don't remember liking kids very much, and I always used to dread it when one of them invited me to play with them, and I never wanted to invite any of them to play with me. So, but my mother couldn't.
Yeah.
She didn't have the energy to be able to look after two little boys, so that never happened. Occasionally, I had to go on they're called play dates now. They weren't
Yes.
called that back then. Go round someone's house, and yeah, and that was a right palaver because how am I going to get back? And
It feels like you were already planning ahead, just using that example of what we call nowadays play dates. You
mm.
had to think about X, Y, and Z from a very early age.
Oh yeah, that absolutely. From that point of view, yeah, I was. So a couple of my friends have got very young children at the moment, and I realised I was with my goddaughters and her parents in February, and I realised, oh wow, you know, yeah, my parents couldn't do this. So maybe in hindsight, I've realised now, but I don't know. I don't know what other people's childhoods were like
Yeah.
in the 70s and 80s, but I remember when I first went to school, I remember this dream I had. And I had a dream that I turned up to school dressed as a concert pianist in, like
As you do.
and I went into school and I sat down at a grand piano and all the other kids turned up and they're just dressed like all the other kids are. And I never learned to play the piano. We didn't have a grand piano in our house. And yeah, that was I was an adult basically. I was a really,
Yes.
Stiff, dressed up adult on my first day at school in my dreams.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
say interesting, but it feels for me that it feels like a metaphor that maybe you were mature before your
Yeah, no,
time.
I did feel that. I did feel that, and I found it very difficult to. I think that was why I got told by a kid at school that when I grew up I would be a comedian. And I didn't know what a comedian was. I was very young, but I think the point is I use humor. I tried to make the other kids laugh as a defense mechanism,
Yes.
because I didn't feel I just didn't feel comfortable. I couldn't join in with a lot of them. for all sorts of reasons. You want to feel comfortable, and I think the way for me to feel comfortable was to make them laugh.
And this was something that you picked up on very early in life.
I remember it very clearly. It made me feel safe. If I didn't want to do something, if I found a game stupid or silly, then to get out of having to do it, I would make them laugh.
What was the attraction for you then? What was the attraction to want to get on stage?
Well, I think I was good. It was something I was good at. That was it. Yeah, I think, I always felt, like I wasn't good enough. I didn't know what to say. I like, if there was a social group, I'd always think that people would think I was the weirdo, and I would, cultivate that and embrace it. But when, I was, goofy because I didn't know stuff that everybody else knew. I hadn't seen movies that everybody else saw, so I always felt like, I'm not everything wrong, but I'm. So then, when you can do something well, God, what a relief!
Okay.
Oh yeah, look, I can do a thing, and all these people that think he's a bit odd, they're laughing because of a thing I've said. It was sort of like almost. It was like, see, you do like me, don't you? So yeah, possibly not the best reasons to go into something, but I mean that's not the only reason, and I don't really think I believe in reasons, but
That a philosophical statement? I don't believe in reasons, or
well, it's just stories you tell yourself, and there are because I get asked that question a lot. How do you get into comedy? And I can answer it in I think three ways, and I probably can't be bothered to find a fourth way. But there are three very reasonable answers to it, and I don't know what the real one is.
okay.
If there is a real one, even.
And then you moved into. You were successful as a comedian.
Well,
Well, didn't you do Edinburgh Fringe? And
yeah, but anyone could do the Edinburgh Fringe. You just have to, be stupid enough to go.
I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I I managed to make it work enough, um, and yeah, I can remember the relief when I got in a television show, um, because yeah, for me, I think there's a lot I wanted. I wanted it. I had what do they call it? External validation. I
Yes.
needed, I needed my parents, or certainly, so I needed that, and
Did you receive it?
not really. I mean, I don't think so. I think not really. I think my parents, they didn't find the things I did funny. No. So, and then, really the things that, why am I not on Just a Minute? Why am I not on Mock the Week? Why am I not on, the shows that they watch? I mean,
Yes.
to them, it just doesn't matter. I'm literally considered a failure by my father because, his son's a comedian. Well, he turns on the telly or turns on the wireless and his son's not on them. He's not. So what's going on? What kind of a comedian is he? So yeah, so that was a failed plan. But
You've been described as a bit of a surreal. The type of comedy that you offered or you put out is kind of surreal, etc.
well, it was a long time ago. The stuff I've done for the last 10 years is just is like a group therapy session. It's very unlike stand-up comedy really because there's no I don't prepare anything. I don't have any. I don't know what I'm going to say, and there's no topic. It's not about anything. It's just one conversation with as many people who are in the room, and it's called comedy because I think I used to be a comedian, and people laugh every 15 seconds, which is what you're supposed to do to call it comedy. But yeah, it's a sort of yeah, it's a people often describe it as being like in a group therapy session.
Okay. And I'm going to use that as a segue in terms of talking about your panic attacks, your anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
You said that most recently it's come back to the fore, and I'm assuming that it feels that it's quite paralyzing for you.
Yeah, it's just I don't know if it is. I don't know because I've got sort of other sort of physical issues which I don't know if they are a consequence of, you know, anxiety and what you do to yourself when you're anxious. I mean, when I'm having a panic attack, it's just sort of occasionally embarrassing. Um, it can stop me, you know, it can keep me in the house or, you know, if I'm on tour in the hotel. I mean, I've never cancelled a show, but I am thinking of cancelling the Edinburgh Fringe Festival this year. Not because I'm worried I'm going to get a panic attack, but just my physical health is so run down at the minute, and I don't know. It occurs to me maybe the anxiety has had an effect on that. Um, but yeah, the panics are just sort of it just pumps me full of, I suppose, adrenaline, and then the consequence of that is it can be difficult to sleep, and then the next day I've got a sort of panic attack hangover where I'm absolutely exhausted. So it's I don't know. Yeah, it's just annoying. It's just annoying and embarrassing. You know, when
Why
sometimes
embarrassing? You said that a couple of times.
sometimes I have to call people for help. You know,
So why is that embarrassing?
because because you know when you're it's well, I don't know why is it embarrassing. Um, I think possibly because it happens so often. It just seems so you know like you know sometimes it's just strangers in the street and then it's not embarrassing. We just find out how kind the average person in you know Bangkok or Amsterdam is, and usually they're pretty kind. But you know when it's like the same person again, just like it happened at Christmas time, and my the neighbours. I was staying in my parents' house. They were away, and I don't know what I did. I think I just texted my sister, who wasn't around, but I just thought I'll text my sister. She'll say something sensible. It'll be fine. And then my sister texted the neighbourhood watch group or something, and then suddenly the whole of this street is mobilized looking for people and I'm next thing I know I'm in somebody's family, I'm in somebody's family Christmas. I mean it wasn't Christmas Day, but it was like
Yeah.
the day before New Year's Eve or something, and I'm they have to help me.
Did that feel embarrassing, or did it
It
feel
just
reassuring in terms of the
well, it
kindness of
felt
strangers?
reassuring, and then as the panic wears off, so it's great when it happens, it's great. And then when I realize I'm not having a stroke, I'm not having a heart attack, I'm not going mad, and then it gradually dawns on me, oh, this is probably another one of those panic attacks you always have. When it when they realize he's having a panic attack, and they probably heard Trevor has panic attacks. It's like, oh God, it's another. Do you know what I mean? It's like when someone's fallen over and broken their arm, yeah, let's turn off the telly and try and take them to the hospital, or look after them or something. But when he's had another bloody panic attack, it's like yeah, it feels like why don't you why don't you see a therapist? Why don't you get your panic attacks cured?
That was going to be my next question. Why don't you?
Yeah. I don't know. I went when I first had them years ago when I went to university. I went to a therapist and she told me there was nothing she could do. And I don't know. It's hard to find a therapist, and I guess
It's hard to find a therapist.
maybe it's. I don't know. I guess I don't think that talking about it will stop me getting them.
I'm smiling to myself now, not because I'm a therapist and that, but because I feel the resistance from you about reaching
Yeah.
out for support.
Well, no, man. I reach out for support when I'm having a panic attack.
But before then,
Yeah. No, I don't do that. Yeah, I don't do that.
isn't that something that us guys, most men in the main, are guilty of? Only when something moves from an accident to an emergency do we start to reach out for support.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, we're only talking about it to be honest, Yinka, because I'm having a terrible day, and you just caught me off guard. Um, um, so yeah, I was just recovering from a minor
No, I know.
wobble just when I realised, I've got that today.
Okay.
So yeah, I think you're right. I would normally not be talking about this, and I, yeah, you're right. I'll try to get some kind of immediate temporary help when it's an emergency, and then completely, possibly even be in denial about having the problem when I don't have the problem, if you see what I mean.
I do. I do. Do you ever meditate?
No, no, no. I used to. I used to meditate, but you know what? I think meditating sometimes brings on a panic attack at the minute. I don't meditate, but like being still and
Yes, I've heard that.
yeah, yeah.
Being in one's own skin and being silent
Or
can.
like the things I'm experiencing at the minute is I'm not in my own skin. So it's like where am I is the question at the minute. I don't know where I am, and that's sometimes a little bit scary.
Trevor, and this is me as a human being, not as a therapist, I am of the belief that it would be potentially positive for you to talk to somebody.
Yeah, yeah. I will talk to someone. Yeah.
And I think, the purpose of this as a podcast, this isn't about self-promotion. It's nothing about that. It's about to talk about real life things like what you contend with
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to bring it out to the fore. And, your experiences, our tour today is making it very real, is that we do struggle. We struggle with how we feel
Oh my
within,
God. That's life. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but sometimes it doesn't have to be a struggle.
Well,
I think that,
sometimes it isn't a struggle. I mean, I think this is my experience. I
yeah,
very often it's not a struggle. I know where I am. I know that I'm in this body and I'm not panicking, and it's absolutely lovely. And then the next second it can all go to pieces. I'm not sure. I know.
one of the things, having interviewed a few comedians from this side, from the UK, but also from across the pond in America, and a lot of them talk about their not just solely being on stage, but that loneliness and isolation of moving from city to city, from hotel to hotel,
Hmm.
and how that can be so numbing, and that
Hmm.
just getting out on stage in of itself provides that cathartic release to just be an alter ego, be somebody else. And I'm wondering, Is that something for you that you experience?
No, I don't. I don't relate to that. I'm a good traveler. I think. I mean, I think physically it takes its toll. Yeah. Uh, I don't know what I think about that. It's difficult for me. I don't really. I haven't been. I stopped doing comedy shows about a month ago, so I haven't done a show. I haven't done a show since the 20th of May, I think. So about 3 weeks ago. So yeah, I'm trying to remember what it's like. um,
You don't miss it?
no, I've always said that for years. No, I never miss it. I never miss it. It's a joy. But if I never do another comedy show, I mean, I've said this for 10 years. If I never do another comedy show again, absolutely fine with that. Unfortunately, I do it for the money. But it's not as bad as it sounds because I don't get paid very much money, and I love it. So no, I do love it. I'm lucky that I don't. I used to have to gig every single night. Now I've rearranged my living space, and I've turned my living room into a bedroom. So I Airbnb my apartment, and that means I don't have to gig every single night.
Okay.
Um, and and when I go, you know, when I go away and tour abroad, I can even rent out my room. So, but I do still, I don't think I can quite give it up financially, but I think I can give it up uh, for other reasons. Yeah, I think I got over that a long time ago. I can remember the excitement and sort of, yeah, the excitement and need and desire to go on stage. And I think my understanding of stand-up comedy is that it's a sort of hidden addiction. It's an addiction that it doesn't get talked about and possibly isn't even recognized as one. But I think what happens to comedians when they're on stage is very similar to gamblers or to other addictions. When you say something, particularly if you know what you're going to say is funny, I think it's even worse for those kind of comedians. And I used to be one of those comedians. You have jokes and you know you're going to get a hit in a minute. You're going to say something, and then this room of people is going to make that noise that's going to do that thing. I don't know what the chemical or hormone that's released, dopamine, let's say. And it's either more, they either laugh more than you expected, and it's fantastic, or they don't laugh as much as you expected, and that's the addiction. You have to do it again. It's
Chasing the dragon.
Yeah, it really is. It really is, and that's what it was like for me for many years, and that's why you always want to gig, and comics who weren't, if you're not getting paid for a gig, you'll go and try out some new stuff. You just want to be on stage, getting that hit. It seemed like for a while all comics were either alcoholics or recovering alcoholics, or drugs. After you come off stage and there's it was a buzz, but it's still not. There's that.
Enough.
There's that. Yeah, it's not never enough sort of thing. And I don't I can't remember how I got clean of comedy. Maybe it was about 12 years ago. Whether the gig went well or didn't go well, it was an awful thing to be telling jokes on stage, and I stopped doing that. And I stopped quite hard. Um,
Cold
and
turkey.
yeah, it was at the Edinburgh Fringe one year, and I did 4 performances, and I stopped, and I started every other show for the rest of the month by saying, "There's no material in this show. There's no jokes in this show." So I couldn't do that, and then I think made me. I don't know. It's just a different sort of vibe, and so.
Were you going into a depressive stage then?
Um, no, I think then I was probably coming out of a depressive stage actually. Uh, I was coming out. I think that was me coming out of a depressive stage. Yeah. It would have been 10 years ago when that happened. Yeah, that was me sort of coming out of it. I've gone through depression all my life. Cycled in and out of it all my life. And things got a lot better actually when I stopped that style of comedy and started doing just talking comedy. Because I think you don't know you don't know what people are going to find funny. Yeah, so for me now, comedy, take it or leave it. I do other stuff with comedy. I do workshops and I work with all kinds of people in all different businesses and walks of life, sharing the things I've learnt from being a comedian, and applying it to other things.
Okay.
So that I find that more at the moment. I find that much more interesting than performing. I think it's more rewarding. I think I get the feedback I get from that is, oh, that was great. I really learned a lot, or oh, thank you for that. I can see something now that I couldn't see before. Whereas with my comedy shows, it's ha ha ha, that was really funny. Oh my God, my face aches. And it's a different kind of vibe.
Can I ask, Trevor, do you like yourself?
I think I like and hate myself. I go through both. I have hated myself and do hate myself. But I also, I'm still alive, Yinka. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
So I also love myself. But I am not in control of when I love myself and when I hate myself. That's out of my hands.
Why do you say that it's out of your hands?
Well, it is. I think everything's out of our hands. I think, our character is God knows where our character comes from. And, it's like the color of our eyes or, the height we grow to, the color of our hair, what we, you know, you if you if you don't like broccoli, you didn't choose not to like broccoli. That was just given to you. On the days where I love myself, I feel grateful, and on the days where I hate myself, I feel self-pity and I wish I could hack it so that I always love myself and I never hate myself. But I'm not sure that that's possible.
Have you ever contemplated suicide?
Of course.
You say that. I asked a question, and you say, "Of course."
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what other people have gone through.
No, I'm not talking about other people. I would just.
But it just seems to me, I would be surprised if it's not something that runs through most people's minds. Certainly, at some points, I think I would be amazed if that is an uncommon thing. I've never tried to do it, but it's certainly been a thought
Thoughts.
pattern. Yeah.
Have you been beset by those patterns?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of cycle in and out of. I've cycled in and out of depression all my life, my adult life, let's say. So, and this is the interesting thing is when I'm, up, when everything's fine, I can't remember the bad stuff, and when everything's bad, I can't remember the good stuff. It's madness, It's
Yeah, swings and
so
roundabouts.
yeah, and I think I've got quite an agreeable user interface. I'm quite I think the feedback I get from people is that I'm likable.
Trevor, very much so. can I just say this? I feel I feel a heaviness of pain for you. And if it was within me, I would love to release you of that pain, that burden.
Well, thank you, Yinka. I would be that would be great. Please do that. You have my permission. I, like I say, it's not always there. It really isn't always there. It comes and goes. You know, just a thing that comes and goes. It's like the weather. That's how I see it. I have
Yes,
seasons, rainy days or sunny days. You know what I mean?
100%, 100%. But you are not the weather. You're the rock that the weather cascades over.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'd be honest, Yinka, I have no idea who or what I am at the minute. I'm, I don't know if it's a good old-fashioned nervous breakdown or late midlife crisis. But yeah, I have no, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no opinion on that.
Can I ask, and I'm making an assumption here that you don't have a family yourself?
No, I don't. I've sort of, I've had possibilities of having family earlier in my life. The last few years, my lifestyle, I'm sort of kind of always on the road, and that kind of prevents it. So, yeah.
Does that feel like a ship that sailed?
No, it doesn't because, unfortunately, men's biology is different
Oh,
to
yes.
women's biology. So,
Yes.
I actually don't rule that out.
Okay.
And but it's not something I miss or have missed, but it's certainly something I'm not against it. Um, I think um, I think it's great. My friend is writing a thing. This isn't giving it away. My friend is
No,
writing a
go on.
thing, and he told me about the thing that he's writing, and it's a thing about how people don't want to have kids, and it's brilliant, and I hope we'll all watch it on television in a couple of years. And I totally agree with it. It's yeah. I think it's a wonderful thing to do to have a family, and the fact that it hasn't happened yet or may never happen with me is no judgment, and it's not a decision that I've made against it.
Okay. Okay.
Probably a decision other women have made against it, but not me.
Couldn't possibly comment on that. Tim, our producer, has said since we were promoting that we were recording with you late this afternoon, there's been some nice messages and shares of people,
Well, that's nice.
and some really positive responses coming off our socials because of you.
Well, that's
So
nice.
it is nice. It is nice indeed. Can I ask you, Trevor,
Yeah.
who's the most important person in your life?
Who is the most important person in my life?
You can only pick one person.
Oh my God. Well, I'd have to say it's Tom. I'd have to say it's Tom. Yeah, yeah.
Pray tell, who's Tom?
Well, he's the most important person in my life. I met him when I was at university. We did a play together um, in London in the late 20th century. And yeah, he's the same age as me, but he was always like, because I was sort of very young when I was young, and he was quite, he wasn't very young when he was young, or maybe he was exactly the right age he should have been. But anyway, I always looked up to him, and kind of didn't understand him at all. But as we've grown older, we sort of we get each other more. We've got each other more and more, and yeah. So he's my. We've been friends for 30 years,
Good.
and yeah, he always has my back. I mean, I'm very lucky, to be honest. I've got a lot of very good friends. I say Tom, just, if anyone else is listening, they'll get it. But,
Okay,
you did ask me an
I
unfair
did ask.
question.
Okay, and
Yeah.
if I was to say to you that's the wrong answer, that the most important person in your life is you, how would you respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's how I live my life. Yeah, absolutely. I am the most important person. Yeah.
Do you
Yeah,
believe it though?
I think I think I do sometimes. I think I don't sometimes. I think I'm very. I've got a sort of puritanical, Victorian. I was going to say stoical, but I think I've misunderstood what stoicism is. A sort of, yeah, Victorian upbringing and a Victorian mindset towards myself, where I think, yeah, I don't think I'm a good manager of myself.
Why does the phrase "could try better" or "could try harder" spring to mind as I was listening to you talk then?
Yeah, well, I guess I learned that from my teachers and my school reports when I was little, and people have literally said that to my face,
Wow.
partners, um, colleagues, agents, um, yeah. So yeah, that's the sort of uh, slogan of my life.
Don't you ever get angry or pissed off at people's opinions of you like that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I get a lot, it's very flattering to get this actually, but I get a lot of, why aren't you famous, or why aren't you well known, or why aren't you on, as if, and then the answer is, well, it's because you didn't try hard enough or something. And it's like, well, how do you know how the world should be?
Spot on.
How do you know? It's so yeah, it does it's tiring. I don't live up to people's expectations. I get that. People tell me that all the time, and in a way, it's flattering. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you have high expectations of me. But at the same time, I also, uh, yeah, yeah, it's what can you do?
I heard that sigh in your voice then. What can you do?
These are just, my little hat full of
No, of
sorrows.
course.
But it's like, yeah, and I'm sure lots of people can identify with my particular uh, issue there. I think that's a thing and I've probably been just as guilty of it with other people. You know, yeah, we want to make sense of the world, and and making sense of the world often means just jumping to conclusions and making assumptions, and that's just normal, and that's what I do. That's what everyone does. But when you're on the receiving end of the jumped to conclusion, it can be annoying.
Yeah. If you could, if you could go back to your 10-year-old self and offer a bit of advice, what would it be?
God, you know, in a way, yeah, it's a good game. All right, let's play the game. Um,
It's no game.
if waiting outside that door is my 10-year-old self, I'm going to be very excited. Um, you see, when I was 10, life was fucking great.
Okay.
Um, I'd say to him, look, I know it looks great. Um, I'd say don't worry about it really, Um, it doesn't matter. I think, that what I've learned, if I've learned anything, I don't know if I've learned anything. What I hope I've learned is that really all you want is to feel all right. And sometimes you get a little bit greedy and you think, no, 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 I want to feel fantastic. And in running after fantastic, you'll miss loads and loads of all rights and create loads and loads of fucking hells that are absolutely unnecessary fucking hells. I think, I'm in general, I consider myself to be a very happy person, a very lucky person. And one of the pieces of luck that I consider that has befallen me is just that I don't need it much to be all right. Now we've obviously focused on all the bad stuff. This last hour we've talked about all the panic attacks and things, but there's a lot of all right, and I'm all right is really good. I'm happy with all right. I don't. It's. Do you see what I mean?
I do, and I think again, just to reiterate, you appearing on the Hurt Locker is about your lived experiences, not only the bad side of things, but the good side of things as well.
Yeah.
It's about normalizing how everyday people in everyday lives live their lives. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think normal isn't good. Normal is best. Normal is better. I think I used to work in show business, if you like. I used to be around people who used to go to television stations and that kind of the media, if you like, and show business and people that other people look up to. And I used to know, I mean, a lot of the unhappiest people that I met. I think going after something better than normal, better than ordinary, actually made things worse for them.
100%.
And I think I think we get that we get educated that at school, and I think our culture, we have this the idea to get more, and from one point of view that you want people to reach their capabilities and use their talents to the best of their abilities. Absolutely, I get that, but it can sort of overreach itself and turn around and become its opposite and bite its own tail. And I think
100%.
and we know, I think there's thousands of people, Yinka, are alive on the planet, apparently. Tens of thousands of people on this planet. Yeah, and millions, some people say. There's a lot of people on this planet, and apparently we can't all have the things that most people in our culture think are normal. So, and apparently the majority of the people that ever lived didn't have them and lived quite well without them. So I don't know. I think I'm a big fan of normal and a big fan of ordinary.
Trevor.
And this is from someone who tried to be tried to be in show business and really went for something that was wanted to be special. I wanted to be very special, because I couldn't be normal in a comfortable way when I was little, and I thought the antidote to not being able to be normal was to be special. An innocent mistake.
Every day is a school day. Trevor Lock, you've been a wonderful guest this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much. It's been very surprising.
Very surprising. How shall I take that?
Well, I'm just surprised what I've said. I'm just very surprised. Yeah.
Do you feel that you revealed more than what you thought you would do, or you spoke about?
Yeah, I didn't expect to talk. I had no. Yeah. Yeah. Just surprising. Yeah.
I thank you for your candidness anyway.
My pleasure.
This is what makes what we're trying to do important. So thank you.
No worries. Well, thank you for doing the whole having the space. My pleasure. Yeah, I think it's great.
I hope it wasn't too painful for you.
No, absolutely not. I mean, really not. You've taken my mind off everything. It's just this has been by far the highlight of my week. So don't worry.
We're only on Monday.
Is it Monday?
I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
It's Tuesday. God, don't make me think I've lost my days of the week as well.
But thank you so much, Trevor.
My pleasure.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Hurt Locker. Please give us a rating or share with another listener. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Hurt Locker Pod.